About Ratthapala Sutta, MN 82. Reading from dhammatalks.org. Today is Friday, March 11th, 2022. This is only an excerpt from the complete sutta. For the complete story, the complete sutta, please click on the link in the description and read for yourself. Then Ratthapala the clansman obtained the going forth in the Blessed One's presence. He obtained acceptance, and not long after his acceptance, 1/2 month after his acceptance, the Blessed One, having stayed at Thula Kothita as long as he liked, set out wandering to Savatthi. Wandering by stages, he eventually arrived at Savatthi. There he lived at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anath Pindika's monastery. As for Venerable Ratthapala, dwelling alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute, he in no long time reached and remained in the supreme goal of the holy life, for which clansmen rightly go forth from home into homelessness, knowing and realizing it for himself in the here and now. He knew birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task done. There is nothing further for the sake of this world, and thus Venerable Ratthapala became another one of the Arahants. Then Venerable Ratthapala went to the Blessed One, and on arrival, having bowed down to him, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, he said to the Blessed One, Lord, I want to visit my parents, if you give me permission. Then the Blessed One, encompassing Venerable Ratthapala's awareness with his awareness, considered and understood. Venerable Ratthapala is incapable of leaving the training and reverting to the lower life. So he said to him, Now is the time, Ratthapala, for you to do as you see fit. Then Venerable Ratthapala, rising from his seat, going down to the Blessed One and keeping him on his right, left, putting his lodgings in order and taking his bowl and outer robe, set out wandering toward Thula Kothita. Wandering by stages, he eventually arrived at Thula Kothita. There he stayed in Thula Kothita in King Korabya's Megachira garden. Then, early in the morning, having adjusted his lower robe and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went into Thulakotita for alms. As he went for alms from house to house in Thulakotita, he came to his own father's house. Now, at that time, Venerable Ratthapala's father was in the middle door porch, having his hair combed. He saw Venerable Ratthapala coming from afar, and on seeing him, said, It was by these shaven-headed contemplatives that our only son, dear and beloved, was made to go forth. So Venerable Ratthapala, instead of receiving a gift or a polite refusal at his own father's house, got nothing but abuse. Just then a slave woman belonging to one of his relatives was about to throw away some day-old porridge. So Venerable Ratthapala said to her, Sister, if that is to be thrown away, pour it here into my bowl. While she was pouring the day-old porridge into his bowl, she recognized his hands, feet, and voice. So she went to his mother and said, May it please you to know, my lady, that Master Son Ratthapala has arrived. If what you say is true, I give you your freedom. Then Venerable Ratthapala's mother went to his father and said, May it please you to know, householder, that they say the clansman Ratthapala has arrived. Now at that time, Venerable Ratthapala was sitting by a wall, eating the day-old porridge. His father went to him and said, Ratthapala, my dear, isn't there? What? You're eating day-old porridge. Don't you have your own home to go to? How could we have a home, householder? We have gone forth from the household life into homelessness. We are homeless, householder. We went to your house, but instead of receiving a gift or a polite refusal, we got nothing but abuse. Come, dear Ratthapala, let's go home. Enough, householder, my meal for today is finished. In that case, dear Ratthapala, acquiesce to the meal for tomorrow. So Venerable Ratthapala acquiesced in silence. Understanding Venerable Ratthapala's acquiescence, his father went to his house and having the floor smeared with fresh cow dung, had a great heap of gold and silver made, two great heaps made, one of gold, one of silver, so large that a man standing on the near side could not see a man standing on the far side, just as a man standing on the far side could not see a man standing on the near. Hiding them behind screens, he set out a seat between them, surrounded by a curtain. Addressing Venerable Ratthapala's former wives, he said to them, Come, daughters-in-law, adorn yourself in the ornaments that our son Ratthapala used to find dear and lovable. Then, as the night was ending, Venerable Ratthapala's father had exquisite staple and non-staple foods prepared in his own house and had the time announced to Venerable Ratthapala. It's time, dear Ratthapala, the meal is ready. Then, early in the morning, having adjusted his lower robe and taking his bowl and outer robe, Venerable Ratthapala went to his father's house and on arrival sat down on the seat made ready. Then his father revealed the heap of gold and silver, said to him, "This, my dear Ratthapala, is your mother's inheritance. The other is your father's, the other your grandfather's. Enough that. You can enjoy wealth and make merit. Come, my dear Ratthapala, leave the training and revert to the lower life, enjoy wealth and make merit. Householder, if you would do as I say, you would have this heap of gold and silver loaded on carts and hauled away to be dumped midstream in the river Ganges. Why is that? This wealth will be the cause of your sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair." Then, clasping each of his feet, Venerable Ratthapala's former wives said to him, "What are they like, dear master son? Those nymphs for whose sake you lead the holy life. Sisters, we don't lead the holy life for the sake of nymphs. Sisters, he calls us, and they fell down right there in a faint." Then Venerable Rathapala said to his father, "Householder, if there is food to be given, then give it. Don't harass us." "Eat then, my dear Rathapala, the meal is ready." So, with his own hands, Venerable Rathapala's father served and satisfied him with exquisite staple and non-staple foods. When he had finished his meal and rinsed his bowl and hands, Venerable Rathapala stood up and recited these verses. "Look at the image beautified, a heap of festering wounds shored up, ill but the object of many resolves, where there is nothing lasting or sure. Look at the form beautified with earrings and gems, a skeleton wrapped in skin, made attractive with clothes, feet reddened with henna, a face smeared with powder, enough to deceive a fool, but not a seeker for the further shore. Hair plaited in 8 plaits, eyes smeared with unguent, enough to deceive a fool, but not a seeker for the further shore. Like a newly painted unguent pot, a putrid body adorned, enough to deceive a fool, but not a seeker for the further shore. The hunter set out the snares, but the deer didn't go near the trap. Having eaten the bait, I go, leaving the hunters to weep." After reciting these verses, while standing, Venerable Rathapala went to King Kuravya's Megachira. On arrival, he sat down in the shade of a tree for the day's abiding.